Okay, let's try this again. So, my father and I were talking about how non-comic book readers might be a little bit lost in WandaVision right now with all the theories going around about how they're bringing in specific comic book characters that they haven't necessarily introduced yet. So, I thought it would be a good idea to give you a little bit of background, kind of like what I do on my podcast, but in a much smaller, more bite-sized version. This is part one. I'm sure there are more characters I'm forgetting, so there will probably be a part two as more episodes come out. But let's dive right in with the twins that were just born, Speed and Wiccan, or as the viewers know them right now, Billy and Tommy. Speed's first appearance was in Young Avengers Volume 1, issue number 10 in March of 2006. And he obviously bears a striking resemblance to not only his twin, but his uncle, Quicksilver. For those who don't know, after Wanda gave birth to the twins in the comics, they were wiped from her memory and reborn into the universe into separate families. So Speed, Tommy, was born and raised in New Jersey, and he was tracked down by his brother Wiccan and the other Young Avengers to join the Young Avengers initiative, started by Vision. In Young Avengers Presents number 3, Billy and Tommy go searching for their birth mother, the Scarlet Witch, but in doing so encounter Master Pandemonium, who shares with them their history with Mephisto and advises them to not look any deeper into it, as their history is filled with darkness and chaos, and encourages them to embrace who they are in the present. Wiccan, or Billy, made his first appearance just before his brother in Young Avengers number 1 in 2005, and their major storyline together was in the Children's Crusade. It's very important to acknowledge that both young men in the comics are a part of the LGBTQIA plus community. They are both gay. I have very little hope that the MCU is going to acknowledge it, let alone bring it to fruition in their on-screen adaptation. If I'm wrong, I will be very, very happy to be wrong. However, Marvel's patterns with representation and straight up fixing problematicness that exists in their source material is not good. But okay. Billy is the more significant of the two as far as storylines in the comics go. Billy has more meat and development to his character than Speed does. And he has similar powers to his mom, as in he's magic based and has telepathy or telekinesis. But on a very much, much smaller intensity level and much smaller scale than Scarlet Witch. Next up, we have Agatha Harkness, who a lot of people have already pegged as Vision and Wanda's neighbor, Agnes. Her first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 94, created by, of course, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. She was first introduced as Franklin Richards' governess, and she helped fend off the Frightful Four. She was Wanda's magic tutor. So she was the one that basically trained Wanda in all her witchy ways when they started expanding upon her powers. She was also the one who mind-wiped Wanda of her children's existence. And because she did so, was in turn killed by Wanda because she had a hand in one of her mental breaks. This was revealed in Avengers Disassembled. In New Avengers number 26, Wanda is in this haze of not really knowing what's going on or what had happened to her. And she tells Clint that she's under the care of Aunt Agatha. In all new, all different Marvel, Agatha comes back as a ghost, confirming that Wanda was in fact the one that killed her. One of my favorite plot points involving Agatha and Wanda was when Agatha Harkness and Scarlet Witch's mother, Natalia Maximoff. I'm on female comic book characters and I just went to a different one. Natalia Maximoff channeled their magic energy through the Scarlet Witch in order to defeat the physical manifestation of Chaos, who was attempting to destroy magic. It's a killer storyline. You should absolutely read it. Next up, we have a lot of theories floating around about whether or not Mephisto is being brought into the universe, and I'm just going to start off by saying that this would make absolutely zero sense. Not the theories going around. The theories going around have merit. They set it up in WandaVision. Everyone's picking up on the Easter eggs. The theories going around make sense. Marvel bringing Mephisto into Vision, or WandaVision, is what makes no sense. The woman has 1,098 current appearances in comic books, and he was in all of, 6 of them. Doesn't make sense. He is one major plot point surrounding Wanda. And, a million surrounding characters that have nothing to do with Wanda, but okay. Anyway, his first appearance was in The Silver Surfer #3 in 1968, and he was created by Stan Lee and John Buscema. He was originally the ongoing enemy of Silver Surfer, so maybe it would make more sense to introduce him when you introduce the Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer. Or here's a thought, he was also an ongoing enemy of Ghost Rider. Cool way to bring him back into the universe. Or here's an even better thought, he was also an ongoing enemy of Thor. So why not bring him in Jane Foster's Thor? That would make more sense. It makes no sense to bring him in through Wanda. 0 cents. I will die on this hill. Doesn't make sense. Anyways, the only relevant storyline surrounding Mephisto and Wanda was that fragments of his soul were her children. I'm going to make that make sense. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to try to make that make sense. Wanda can warp, manipulate, and create reality. But in doing so, she can create something out of nothing. She can create reality out of nothing and bring existing life forms into that reality. However, to create life forms out of nothing, she needed something to bond it with. So, because she couldn't have children naturally, obviously Vision is not human. She thought about what she wanted. She wanted kids. Her magic then found souls, because Mephisto's soul was fragmented into, I believe, 5 pieces, so it took 2 of those fragmented pieces and bonded with her magic in order to become her children. Did that make sense? I tried to make it make sense. Okay, anyway. But to clarify, the theory going around involving Mephisto is that he's controlling Wanda somehow, and that is what makes no sense to me. Yes, telepaths can undergo mind control. We've seen it happen with Jean Grey in the comics. However, Jean Grey's level of telepathy and mind powers, Wanda's level of telepathy and mind powers, they're not the same. You cannot treat them the same, and when in treating them the same, you are destroying the level and intensity of Wanda's character and her powers. Destroying it, blowing it up. It does not make sense for her to be mind controlled by anybody. I will also die on this hill. Anyway, next up we have Monica Rambeau, or Spectrum. This is yet another hill I will die on. Yes, Maria Rambeau's call sign was Photon. I'm really hoping that that's just a nice, clever call to the comics and not the name that Monica adapts because she was Photon for a hot second. Guess what? She was also Pulsar and Captain Marvel and Lady of Light or whatever. Yeah, Lady of Light. Daystar. Monica Marvel. Sun Goddess. All titles she held for half a second. She's Spectrum. Just skip straight to Spectrum. I don't need to see her go through 10,000 names. Okay? Thanks. Monica was originally created by Roger Stern and John Romita Jr., and her first appearance was in The Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 16 in October of 1982. How she got her original powers, when she was dubbed Captain Marvel, was being exposed to extra-dimensional energy, which gave her the ability to transform her physical body into different forms of energy. Now, she lost these original powers in 1988. Don't quote me on the exact year. I'll get back to you, but I'm pretty sure it's 1988. And she then developed the ability to analyze different types of energy and distribute it. Rambeau joined and eventually became leader of the Avengers and went on the Avengers mission fighting Leviathan. She lost her powers, and as such retires in Avengers number 294. In Captain Marvel Volume 3, her powers returned, and that's when she had developed the ability to manipulate mechanical energies. Her original power set was originally gone. She developed these powers, and then she got her original power set back. In Avengers Unplugged number 5, that's when she becomes Photon. After Genisville laid claim to the name Photon, she took on Pulsar. During Civil War, she was on Cap's side and a part of Cap's Secret Avengers. Monica then took the name Spectrum in the Infinity storyline, and of course, with significant powers comes significant consequences, or at least there should be. If she transitions between too many different types of energy within a single span of time, she suffers from severe physical exhaustion, and she can also be forced back into her physical human form by outside forces. So basically, anyone that can manipulate energy, Wanda, can control whether or not she can use her powers. She can become physical forms of energy, but if you're dealing with someone like Captain Marvel or Wanda who can manipulate energy and destroy and absorb energy, that becomes more of a weakness than a power. So we don't know if Monica currently has her powers in the MCU, or if or when or how she's going to get them. But if she does have her powers already and they're the same powers as they are in the comic books, her fighting Wanda will do her no good. In fact, it will probably just get her killed. So my guess is they're gonna not do that. And then, of course, Doctor Strange is going to come in at the end, and I have already done a video on Doctor Strange, so I don't feel the need to do that again. Again, my biggest concerns with this show are that they're going to lean too heavily into the very sexist trope of her being mentally and emotionally unstable, and reduce her to a plot device in Doctor Strange 2. Again, I would love it if I was wrong, but I can read Marvel's patterns and where they're going with this, and all signs point to they're going to Targaryen my favorite characters. So we'll see what happens, but I have very little hope for the future of my beautiful Wanda. Anyway, that is your part 1 background for WandaVision and its side characters. I'll be back with a part 2 when I have more characters to introduce. Check me out on the Temple of Geek podcast. Aaron Powell is amazing. We talked about WandaVision, our predictions for it, our hopes for it, analyzing the first, at that point, first 3 episodes. I'll be back on that podcast to discuss the ending of the series. He's been on mine, so go ahead and check out Lady Comic Book History's adaptations with Aaron Powell. We go on so many tangents. It's great. It's 2 hours of solid nerd talk. It all flowed together pretty well. And yeah, like, subscribe, listen to Lady Comic Book History, and if you want a full analysis of, or a full list of Wanda's power set, that I did on the Lady Comic Book History Facebook page. It's all of her powers and then what issues they were most prominent or appeared in. So I can cite I cited exact comic book sources for you. So if you're interested in expanding your knowledge on when or what storyline she got their specific powers in, it's all right there for you. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.